there'll be a lot of League One clubs, looking at their situation. Yeah. Moving on to North America. So former Wales captain Peter Lupton has been appointed player coach of North American side Boston 13s. The 39-year-old made over 300 appearances in the UK for the London Broncos, Hull, Castleford, Crusaders, Workington and Barrow. He won 5 caps for Wales and played in the 2013 World Cup. He moved to Boston in 2015, taking on a player coach role and helped them reach the Northern Conference final that year.
Yep, New York Freedom. So anyone who bought your New York Rugby League gear, fucking wasted. They've got a new name. They're the Freedom. All their social media accounts have passed over. Have signed former Australia and Tonga international Tony Williams for the inaugural North American Rugby League season. The 32-year-old has made 170 NRL appearances for Parramatta, Manly, Canterbury and Cronulla, but surely not for about 4 years. Williams has won 5 caps for Tonga and 3 for Australia. He also played for New South Wales 3 times in State of Origin. And another newsline out of the Gnarl. Former New Zealand international Lance Haya has joined the North American Rugby League competition as a coach. It doesn't say for which club. Haya, who's 38, made more than 270 career appearances across spells with New Zealand Warriors and St Helens, whilst also representing Exiles during his spell in Super League.
Yeah, not entirely unexpected signings, I would say, in terms of age and experience.
Lupton and Haya have moved over there a while ago, haven't they? And it's good to see them still involved in rugby league. That's a big positive. We'll see if Tony Williams comes off.
Yes, we'll see if T-Rex can
roar again.
Find his bite. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, sorry, I stepped on your gag, didn't I? You had
no,
one.
It's fine. It's fine. No, it's all right.
Apologies.
It's fine. I was struggling to think of some, but that's fine. So the Rugby League World Cup organisers are reporting they've received more than 5,000 applications for the Rugby League World Cup 2021 Power Squad, terrible name, of volunteers. Whose role will include spectator services, event operations, broadcast and media, transport, hospitality and accreditation. The numbers comfortably exceed the figures for the previous tournaments in 2013 and 2017. The Power Squad, intended to be the face of the tournament, will carry out a variety of roles across all Rugby League World Cup venues, towns and cities and event locations. The volunteer programme builds on the legacy from sporting events such as Olympics, Commonwealth Games, Rugby Union World Cup, Cricket World Cup 2019 and the Netball World Cup.
Team 13 was such a better name.
Yeah. Why change it?
Good. It's good that so many people have volunteered, though.
Oh yeah. It's a great thing. I mean, the volunteers make these events. I remember how good the volunteers were for when the Tour de France came to Yorkshire. They were brilliant. They were a big part of it. So yeah. It's good stuff.
I also think it's a bit of a blessing that this news has been announced without having to see a further Ralph Rimmer power stand stood at the front of a massive fucking spread out group of people in the power squad. We only had to suffer the leaving Red Hall power stance. Claire Baldwin should have had a word with him, but obviously she's too polite. Rugby League International Governing Body, the IRL, has approved a raft of changes to the international laws of the game that will be applied for this season's World Cup tournament. The IRL board approved the recommended changes to the international laws of the game as proposed by the Laws Advisory Group. The group, which is chaired by IRL match officials manager Stuart Cummings, includes members from the Australian Rugby League Commission, the Rugby Football League, Asia Pacific Rugby League, European Rugby League. LAG has sought to harmonise the laws for competitions around the world, and it has analysed different laws, interpretations and terminology. But of course, LAG being the operative here, that the individual competitions seem to do it ahead of them and they lag behind. Look it up, but we're playing NRL rules.
And we're still looking forward to our first 2040. So
yeah.
I wonder if we'll see one this year. Anyway, in more international,
surely Danny Brough will kick one.
He nearly did. He nearly kicked one in the Mark Slayer derby last week. Very, very nearly. It just didn't quite. He was just outside the 20, but he's the closest I've seen so far. So anyway, so the So in more international rugby league news, the IRL governing body has announced the names of the successful referees who will be able to officiate international matches at Tier 2 level as part of the newly formed International Match Officials Squad. They will operate underneath the Elite Match Officials Squad and will generally officiate games that do not involve the top 4 ranked countries. So these officials come from 8 different countries, which reflect the development of match officials around the world. The newly issued list includes the first 3 women to be selected, and as a sign of strategic intent to accelerate the opportunities for and development of women officials in international rugby league, the group can be expanded to 24 referees, but no more than 16 of those will be men. So the list of officials is Casey Badger from Australia, James Child from England, Anthony Elliott from New Zealand, Adam G from Australia, Peter Goff from Australia, James Jones from Wales, Chris McMillan from New Zealand, Scott Michalauskas from England, Packy Parkinson from New Zealand, Andrew Pilkington from Spain, Jeffrey Pumes from France, Hanua Rapua from Papua New Guinea, Belinda Sharp from Australia, Chris Sutton from Australia, Rochelle Tamarua from New Zealand, Ben Thaler from England, Etika Tukana from Fiji, Stéphane Vincent from France, and Paul Wane from Papua New Guinea.
So no Kendall or Moore, the people who officiated our finals last year, interestingly.
Are they not in the top tier?
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know who is in the top tier.
Oh, so this is the... Yes, I'm with you now. Yeah, there's the EMOS and the IMOS.
Yeah, so these are the guys who will referee Ireland versus Scotland or whatever, that kind of level of international, initially, I would guess. But obviously, you look at those names, there's a lot of experience in those names, isn't there? In terms of their abilities and stuff. So
yeah, I mean, Casey Badger and James Town starting that list are 2 very experienced match officials. Peter Goff, Scott Michalauskas has done a lot of Super League now.
Yeah, it's good.
And the most Spanish name ever, Andrew Pilkington.
Yeah. I hope I was getting the pronunciation right.
Yeah.
I definitely butchered a few others.
And finally, the draws have been made for the semi-finals of the AB Sundex 1895 Cup and the Betfred Women's Challenge Cup quarter-finals. The 1895 Cup draw is York City Knights versus Swinton Lions and Featherstone Rovers versus Widnes Vikings. All set up for a York Fev final there. Matches to be played on the weekend of the 5th and 6th of June. And the Women's Challenge Cup draw was Warrington Wolves versus Castleford Tigers, St Helens versus Featherstone Rovers, York City Knights versus Wigan Warriors, and Leeds versus Bradford, the big West Yorkshire derby. Matches to be played on Sunday the 9th of May, so this upcoming week. So thanks for everyone who got their views in on the news this week. Make sure you look out for links to the Google form either in our episode blog post or posted elsewhere to make sure you get in your fan views on anything that happens over the next week. Or if you want to comment on anything we talked about this week and tell us we've talked nonsense, then we'll put it in the feedback section next week. Shout out, of course, to BBC Sport Rugby League page, totalrl.com, loverugbyleague.com. They provide the journalistic legwork for these news stories for us just to comment on. So, as always, credit goes to those guys. It's time for the match reviews.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, it's time for Super League match reviews, and we'll be reviewing round 5 of the Super League this week. And we're going to start with the Thursday night televised game, which finished Wigan Warriors 16, Hull FC 14. It was 10-8 to the Warriors at half-time. James Child was the match official for this one. In terms of the stats, Wigan marginally bested the Black and Whites on metre numbers, with the sides getting a pretty much even share of the carries. Beyond that, though, Wigan were fairly convincing stat winners, 6 breaks to none, according to the stats, 4 fewer errors and 2 fewer penalties conceded, with a 3.6% better team tackle success rate too. That says Wigan's defence is probably what won them this game. Individually, Zach Carnaker, 5 tackle loss, 199 metres. He really doesn't want to give up that fullback spot. Liam Farrell, 1 try and 183 metres. Jake Bibby, 1 try, 112 metres, 2 clean breaks. And Sam Powell, 1 try assist, 44 tackles. For Hull FC, Joe Cater with an impressive workload of 61 tackles, 16 marker tackles. Josh Griffin, 142 metres. Barhafer Nua, 1 try and 125 metres. And Liggy South, 40 tackles, 10 of which were marker tackles. Quite a bit to cover from the disciplinary.
Just a tad.
Yeah, we've already talked about this one. Tony Clubb of Wigan, grade F, unacceptable language based on national or ethnic origin. Charge referred to the tribunal for that one, so wait and see. Jake Connor for Hull FC, a grade B, high tackle, 1 match penalty notice. That's, of course, for the challenge he was sin-binned for on Zach Hardacre in the first half. Brad Fash of Hull FC, a grade B, dangerous contact, 1 match penalty notice. I went back and watched this incident to see which particular incident it was. It was a tackle on John Bateman that went unpunished at the time, and I was surprised it wasn't a 6 again at the time because of how long the ruck took, because he seemed to come in late and kind of like coming late as kind of the third man in the tackle, not like super late, but he was the third man in, and he kind of like barreled John Bateman over himself. And Bateman got up kind of a bit gimpy from the tackle. So if people want to go back and watch it, that appears to be the challenge. I think that is picked up this note for. Ethan Havard, a caution for dangerous contact, and Mahe Fanua, a caution for a reckless trip. And to be honest, I forgot to go back and watch what incidents those were. I don't remember a trip. Do you?
No, not really. The one thing I do remember, though, and it's interesting that it's been noted on the charges. I do remember the Bateman thing, and it prompted me to notice that I do think Bateman is making a real thing of. We know we talk about power stance.
Yes,
he is definitely, when he's tackled, he is very much kind of adopting this power stance to try to stop being tackled or pushed over.
Yeah,
and it is. And I've seen it a couple of times where players have come in to try to get him to the ground, and it is, I think, from my point of view, it's increasing his risk of leg injury because
people aren't not coming into his legs, even though really they shouldn't, because they'd be attacking a single leg, which isn't what.
Yeah,
happened.
Well, the held call should be coming really, but
yeah, you're right.
But there's definitely a thing where he's taking this wide stance, and there is definitely an increased risk of him getting leg injuries because of it, because of poor technique by his opposition, without question. So, fan views. Karsten says, Jake Connor being a dick, colour me shocked. Can't give a decent interview, but chirpy as hell on the field. And a racist allegation on this weekend. Do players really have brains? That's a big question. Back to the game. Very close contest with Wigan being the lucky winner. Interesting.
3 tries to 2. You make your own luck. White pie. We'll cover it. White pie. Petulance from Jake Connor showed why he shouldn't be the fullback for England and gave Wigan the win. Both sides were inconsistent, but an excellent dummy by man of the match. JH31 saw the try of the game for me. Wigan were marginally the better side and deserved the win, but the game was marred by an allegation of the racist remark by Tony Clubb. If true, a long ban will be deserved.
Mark Snides, forgotten right foot, says Hull took time getting in the game, but a superb pass by the best fullback in the world for a great finish by Swift got FC moving. A close game, and Hull defended well, but indiscipline cost them, and Wigan proved that they got the deserved win. Right call for Connor's yellow. That instance and his slap to Hastings is the reason why he isn't in the England squad. Gutted for Taylor. He's been great so far, and hope it's not a bad injury.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate, and I do think it was a factor in the game, because Scott Taylor's such a big player for Hull FC. Fatboy Rob said, I hate to say it, Wigan are looking strong, especially defensively. Hardacre is the second best fullback in the league, and now Lam has realised it, the rest of us could be in trouble. The Pies will miss Hastings more than Cass will miss Truman, in brackets allegedly, and Connor is a bell end who needs to grow up. Yeah, I agree with all those things, apart from maybe this second best fullback business. But Hardacre said he's the best fullback. Sky talked about it for 45 minutes. half expected when he was doing the interview with Lamb, and Lamb said, "What about who he said the best?" Did he not say he was the best attacking fullback in the league?